Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Fish. This is the somewhat weekly series where I answer the questions that you leave on Discord, and it's kind of like a weekly recap and discussion of the recent gear releases. Speaking of which, make sure you've joined the Discord server if you haven't already. That's where I pick your questions from first, and it's also just a fun time. A lot of cool stuff to talk about this week, so do me a favor, smack a like on the video if you're going to enjoy it. That actually really helps out with the wild and wacky YouTube algorithm, and let's jump right into your questions. Hey again from the server's ESP Encyclopedia. Looks like ESP is releasing a short news page on why we haven't seen leaks and info regarding 2023 models and availability. Thoughts? I'm not gonna lie, this is a very confusingly worded question, but let's talk about what I think you're asking. What is going on with ESP and why haven't we seen any of the 2023 models announced yet besides the very moving Jeff Hanneman tribute signature? So ESP generally drops huge buckets of news at the beginning of the year. They have this huge multi-phase lineup announcement, and that's been completely missing this year. Speaking of missing though, it seems that 5,987% of viewers are not subscribed and are missing out on my slightly above mid guitar content. So do me a favor, go ahead and do that now if you're enjoying the content. It actually really helps out the channel. And ESP is always one of my favorite brands to follow because one, they have fantastic taste. The way they approach their guitars, modernizing classic designs, making them meaner and sleeker without compromising the original spirit that made them great. S tier. No one strikes a better balance than ESP right now, in my opinion. They are a massive brand, and they're not afraid to be early adopters. They were one of the first to include Fishman Fluence as a stock pickup option in their affordable import models. They might have even been the first, actually. And I believe they were also the first to include Evertune in an import production model. Besides Solar, I'm pretty sure that they still have the most Evertune guitars in their lineup, or at least they're pretty up there. But once I started including these modern features like Fishman Fluence and Evertune, the other brands almost took it as like them being given a green light. Like, hey, these specs aren't gimmicks, they're actually here to stay. And now they're popping up in everyone's lineups. That's why ESP's announcements are always super exciting to follow every year. They're this huge brand that's also an early adopter. They're a huge trend-setting force for the year. Stainless steel frets across all their higher-end production LTDs. That was a huge one too. So it's kind of interesting. This time they're actually taking a page out of Gibson and Epiphone's playbook. And listen, I love my Gibson and Epiphone guitars, but you don't really think of them as modern trendsetters. So NAMM, even before the global health event, had the unofficial acronym not available, maybe May. That was in reference to everything on show, and it made sense then. NAMM was never supposed to be the consumer trade show that it is today. It was a closed event to show dealers the new wares of what they could expect for the upcoming year, so brands would show up with the prototypes, dealers could check them out, and place their orders for when the production runs came in. But now with it being very easy to obtain a press pass, you know, everybody's a vlogger or YouTuber, even I got in, there's all this press coverage and all of us are talking about everything in real time on the internet. Everyone sees everything. We all see all the prototypes on like the first day of the show, even before the show sometimes, but the full production runs can still be months behind. And that was even on a non-global health event year. This being the age of fucking TikTok and shit, nobody wants to wait months for anything. I swear to God, we're like gnats now, just all over the place all the time. You've even got people complaining now that Amazon Prime shipping shouldn't take 2 days. Are you fucking kidding? But so anyways, ESP is saying that now supply chain is much better than what it was the past couple of years, but it's still a goddamn mess. Things are still taking much longer than they should, especially if you're aiming for quality. Cries in signature baritone. Jesus Christ, it's taken forever to get those things into production. So what Epiphone decided to do, and this was even before the global health event, is aim to only announce things within about 48 hours of them being actually available for purchase. And the timing of that move happened to be a huge stroke of luck for them, right when availability became unreliable. Sometimes it would be months between them, but when they did official announcements, they actually had the guitars for you to buy. It was a much better look for them than for the brands that stuck to the older marketing model, like ESP. It got so bad for ESP, in fact, that Sweetwater is basically treating their 2022 models that have been available for pre-order since last January and are just now coming in stock as new 2023 models. And now's a great time to mention that actually Sweetwater is the sponsor of today's video. They're fucking awesome, and honestly that could be the entire sponsor segment. You guys know I love Sweetwater. If I need anything gear related, that's my first stop. I know it's a lot of yours too. Shipping is quick, customer service is awesome. The guitar gallery is an amazing feature, lets you see the pictures of the exact guitars that are in stock. That way if you got a preference on wood figuring or on weight, you can select the one that you actually want. They've got their gear exchange for used listings, and that's very cool as a seller because you can use it in the same way that you'd use eBay or Reverb, or there's absolutely zero fees if you choose to get paid in Sweetwater credit. And let's be real, when we sell something, a lot of the time it tends to be to put towards another piece of gear, so it's nice to have both options. And I've been a customer since way before I even started the channel, but they're also amazing as a content partner. They just sent over that D'Angelico baritone to demo and then give away to one of you guys. And thanks to everyone who corrected me in the comments about the pronunciation. It's not D'Angelico, it's D'Angelico. But anyways, we move. So there's Sweetwater links to everything I'll be talking about in the description, including the all-new quote-unquote 2023 LTD models. So yeah, I don't blame ESP at all for wanting to avoid a repeat. They're saying the new reveals will happen in April alongside this year's NAMM show. And can we talk about that real quick? Show of hands, who actually knew there was a NAMM show happening this year and it was happening in April? I mean, obviously I can't see you, or can I? But I would guess if we were all in the same place, I would see quite a few raised hands because the hype around the show is dead. It's deceased, cremated, its ashes cast into the sea. Legit, besides like a few industry guys, I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Gibson, ESP, PRS are all gonna be there. Fender is not though, which is kind of crazy, but I don't know, man, it makes me sad. I have good memories there. It's always a fun time. It's important for the industry as a hype celebration of all things guitar and pro audio, but like a hype event without the hype, I don't know about that one. Anyways, that's when ESP says that their new reveals will start happening and it will continue throughout the year. Announcements close to when guitars will actually be available. Reveals in April, availability still maybe May. That's pretty cool. I guess the devil's advocate argument is, since you don't know what's coming, you don't know whether you should get something now or save your money for something that's coming later. But if you're always waiting for the next best thing, you're gonna be waiting forever, right? If you find a good deal now, it will still have been a good deal even when the new models drop, especially since they're still catching up on their 2022 models. I'm really not sure they're gonna drop a whole lot that's super new. I'm gonna guess it'll mostly be existing models in new colors because that's relatively quick to do. Personally, my dream list would be new scalped fret models. The SM1000s have had them for a couple of years, and when Kirk Hammett's KH3 Spider reissue had them, I was really hopeful they might add them to other models in the line, like the EC1000 or the Phoenix, now that they could. And how cool would that be? That would be a huge step for import models. I'm hoping now with supply chain on its way to recovery, that might finally start making its way across more in the line. If you've never played scalloped frets, they're really cool. They make even shitty lead players like myself seem somewhat talented. ESP, please be a trendsetter in this. And then maybe, I don't know, a new Will Adler signature that finally actually uses his signature pickups. The WA Warbird has been around forever and it still only has regular Fluence moderns. That was a pretty big deal when it was first released. Not so much anymore, and it's a huge shame that it hasn't at least been spec'd with his signature pickups because they are hands down the best pickups in Fishman's line. They're the most chaotic, the most natural and passive sounding, while still having that Fluence tightness and clarity. The best of both worlds. I mean, they are just incredible. I'd love those in something like maybe based on that sick purple ESP USA Eclipse he got. Okay, Hunter in editing here. Hi, how you doing? Looks like there is a new version of the Warbird. They've just upgraded it with stainless steel frets, which, cool, but RIP my dreams. I've rambled for long enough now. Here's where I'll throw it to you. What do you think or hope ESP is going to do in 2023? And how do you think the NAMM show is going to go this year? Again, this is like the least hyped show in recent memory. And I'm even including last year's Summer NAMM that was actually Winter NAMM in that. And just because it's a somewhat related topic, and I've got an excuse to talk about it, I have a USA build on order with them that I'm super fucking pumped for. It's an Eclipse, but other than that, I don't think anyone is gonna guess how this thing is gonna look. It's so cool. Actually, leave your guesses down below, If anyone gets it, I'll send you a shirt or something. Evelyn Core Queen asks, new LTD KHV signatures. Thoughts? Discord is kind of split on these, it would seem. Okay, so Kirk Hammett has been teasing a purple sparkle Gibson V for quite a while, but it's the LTD KHV that's dropped first. These are based on an ESP USA V2 he got a while back, which in turn takes a lot of inspiration from the Jackson Rhodes. And Kirk's had a Rhodes in the tour rotation since the 80s, so it's actually kind of crazy we're only seeing something like this now in 2023. And continuing off the previous question, these were ones that were teased a while ago. I believe only Black Sparkle was at last year's NAMM. For the full release, lol, it comes in metallic gold and in red sparkle as well. Oh, no, I lied. All three were there, except that gold had white cover bone breakers with the green EMG logo. Why didn't they keep that? That was so cool. Either way, neck through construction, 3-piece extra thin U maple neck, Makassar ebony fingerboard with extra jumbo frets. Kirk Hammett, for whatever reason, doesn't play stainless steel frets, so his LTD signatures don't have them. Big sadness. It does have his signature EMG bone breakers, comes with a form-fitted case, and interestingly, the body wings are made of Korina instead of mahogany on similar looking guitars or alder like he uses on all his other signatures. I'll be honest, did not see that one coming. I don't even know if there are any other production LTDs right now that use Korina. On pointy guitars that look like this, would not have guessed that. Obviously the 50s Korina Vs are famous and highly sought after. I'm pretty sure his red V is made of Korina, and maybe working with Gibson more has been giving him some ideas. And out of the three, I don't know which one I like best, to be honest. My initial reaction was that the red one looks super dope, and then I was like, well, the gold Rhodes-like is a crazy cool concept. Even though I'm not really a fan of the shape, there's like an old school roaring 20s vibe to it that Jackson would never do. But then the Black Sparkle one, that's the one that's most similar to the guitar that I've seen him use in countless live videos. You know, it hits me in the feels, but I guess I could just get a Jackson. So yeah, I think the red is my favorite. Now, to be clear, I'm not gonna get one. I just don't fuck with Vs like that, and it doesn't have the scalloped frets, so $1,800 is a bit rich for my blood, but objectively, I love the throwback to one of his classic guitars, but revived with his new signature pickups in fresh metallic and sparkle colors that you generally don't find on this shape. And Korina is just a very, very cool, uncommon spec to have on these guitars. But here's where I'll throw it to you. Discord is split. What does the YouTube audience say? Love him, hate him, couldn't care less? Any and all thoughts? Drop them down below. Mark Nutt asks, thoughts on the Al Jourgensen signature Schecter Triton 277? Jesus Christ, no. What the fuck is that? It's like a cartoon broom. I appreciate the 3-prong headstock matches the 3-prong body. So I don't like the V, partially because I find it uncomfortable to play sitting down, and I've been told that I'm doing it wrong. I need to play in the classical position. Use the V indent to rest it on your leg. But with this guitar, there seems to be something pointy in the way that may cause discomfort. And also, it irrationally bothers me when there are block inlays, but they skip the first fret. It just doesn't look right. Nope, this guitar is genuinely upsetting. Pass. Now it's time to talk about recent gear releases. Keep these on your radar. Mesa Boogie has dropped the Mark 7 amp out of nowhere. Amazing timing. We're not going to talk about the video I dropped the day before on Neural DSP's Mark 2C Plus plugin saying that we were only up to the Mark 5. Didn't happen. My OCD is screaming though, demanding answers as to the whereabouts of the Mark 6. Apparently there was a prototype Mark 6, but the eventual amp that went into production ended up being so far removed that they just called it the Mark 7 instead. I mean, still though, but we move. So anyways, this is the first flagship launched after Mesa Boogie was acquired by Gibson, and Fluffs described it as the Eagle's greatest hits of the Mark series amps. You've got your clean, you've got your crunch, it's got Mark IIB, Mark IIC, and Mark IV modes, as well as some brand new modern Mark 7 sounds. For what it's worth, in an Instagram story, Mark Morton of Lamb of God said the Mark 7 has the best bass response that series has ever had, since he's known for using the Mark 5 as his main sound for years on records and on stages all over the world. I'm inclined to believe his take. Updated control scheme too, no push pulls, no rear dials for anything EQ related. Everything you need is easy to reach on the front of the amp. There's MIDI control, and what's really cool is you've got the built-in cab clone for DI/IR out, but rather than just one IR for the whole amp, you can individually select an IR for each channel. I've always been more of a rectifier guy over a Mark series guy. I didn't really like how the Mark V sounded by itself when I tried it, but after playing around with the Neural DSP Mark IIc plugin and hearing it in videos, I'm really digging how freaking crunchy Mark series tones are. That's the best way I can describe it. Rectifiers are very forgiving, very spongy, and the Mark series amps are almost the complete opposite. It's like a family-sized bag of Doritos, just so crunchy. Might be time to give it another go with the Mark VII. I don't know, what do you guys think? Speaking of Korina guitars from the 1950s, Epiphone has just released their newest collaboration with the Gibson custom shop, the 1958 Korina Flying V and the 1958 Korina Explorer. We've seen the excellent results of their previous work together, the 1959 Les Paul Custom and the 1961 SG. Speaking of which, at the beginning, I believe those were originally supposed to be 1-year limited editions, and I'm glad they've just decided to keep them as part of the permanent lineup because they're two of the best current production Epiphones. And these newest ones look to be some of their best too. As I mentioned, the late 50s Korina guitars are highly sought after. They have such a distinctive look, and they're pretty rare because Korina is a notoriously difficult wood to work with and can be low-key toxic, so that contributes to the price, which is something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the KHV. So these have Korina bodies, long tenon Korina necks, Graphtec nut, position indicators on the top hats, love that detail, and proper Gibson USA pickups, a Burstbucker 3 in the bridge and a Burstbucker 2 in the neck. That is a very powerful spec, makes this guitar more than stage or studio ready right off the shelf. Comes with a hardshell case, which yeah, it should do at $12.99. Man, I understand why Korina guitars cost more, but Epiphones are starting to get a little pricey, aren't they? Amazingly though, lefties are available too, for the same price. And for the same price. Gibson and Epiphone have a tendency to forget lefties exist, but not this time. Love to see it. Each guitar, whether it's left or right-handed, is also available with your choice of either a white or a black pickguard, so just a lot of options for this run. Epiphone's aged gloss is more of a matte than a true aged finish, but it still feels so sleek compared to regular gloss. Yeah, just awesome to see these back in the lineup with Gibson USA Burstbuckers, lefty models available at launch, and seeing as there's no production Gibson USA version and the custom shop Korina V or Explorer will cost you a cool 10 grand, suddenly the Epiphone seems like a pretty decent deal. Guild Guitars dropped a new solid body, the Surfliner HH, poplar offset bodies, bolt-on maple C-shaped necks, maple fingerboards, comes in Shoreline Mist and Canyon Dusk. Nothing super crazy, I just really like the metallic colors. And it's interesting to see the recent revival of the super old school aesthetic. It's never really gone away completely, but lately it's seen a lot of love from the newly revived Harmony guitars, from Fender's Gold Foil series, and there's so much variation in this category. You know, like not everything is a Strat, a Tele, or a Les Paul. It's cool to see proper competition popping up in a category that Reverend has pretty much come to dominate in recent years. And I've been sleeping on Guild because the T-Bird is just horrific, but the Surfliner is tempting as a fun beater guitar and a decent mod project candidate. Links to details on everything you should keep on your radar in the description. And now it's time to hear from yet another adoring fan. It's the high praise of the week. Academy to the CIA losers. Screw this shill. I legitimately have no idea what that means, but that's high praise. And then now that we're getting to the end of the video, if you're craving more of my face and or solidly mid guitar content, in case you missed it, since last episode of Ask a Fish, I uploaded an unboxing vlog featuring a British amp that's been on my bucket list forever, and a first look at my signature baritone. And by first look, I legitimately mean first look. This was the first time I'd even seen the prototype in person. And fuck, it turned out so well. It's a monster. Be sure to check that out and leave a comment if you're interested. That way we get a better idea of how many we need to make. Finally uploaded a demo of Dusty Waring's PRS signature, the CE24DW. I've been posting about it a lot on social media, and you guys have been wondering where that demo was. Well, it's here, and I gotta say, besides my core 10-top Tremonti, that is my favorite PRS ever. It's a metal guitar with a couple of unique things I've never seen before, and at the same time, it still retains that PRS class. A dentist guitar that chugs. Really like it. Very sad I have to send that back. And if you missed last week's Ask a Fish, we talked about who's behind Solar Guitar's Europe production and how Solar is launching a somewhat secret $300 budget line. All the info looked super sketch. I wasn't sure whether it was real or a deepfake scam, but nope, seems legit, just suspiciously under the radar. Links to all those in the cards and in the description. And that will do it for this week's episode of Ask a Fish. Massive shout out to my awesome patrons. Their names are on the screen right now. Consider joining on Patreon or as a YouTube member or picking up some merch. All of those are great ways to support the channel if you enjoy what I do. Social media and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.